live in such a technologically advanced world, it's hard to imagine going through a day without our devices within arm's reach. However, with all of this device use, have you ever stopped to think that it might be harming your hands? Because I know I've had sore shoulder and sore elbow, a bit of tennis elbow going on. The only thing, I haven't done any sports. So why is it that body awareness is really important when we're using devices?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everyone has so much time with their devices now, whether it's their phones, their iPads, even laptops and PCs. So it is really important that we're aware of each of the different parts of our bodies, not just the hands, and how we're sitting and how we're using those devices. Because if you're using the devices for, sometimes hours per day, you're essentially putting your joints of different parts of your body in one position for a prolonged period, which is just not what our bodies are designed to do. Our bodies are designed to be up and moving. They're not even generally designed to be sitting for long periods, let alone sitting sort of slumps on a device.
Yeah.
So everything that we're doing is kind of making changes to how those joints sit, making changes to the length of muscles, making changes to how tight areas are. So it is just really important that we are aware of what position that we're in, and also aware that we're not spending hours and hours and hours a day on these devices.
Because it is true, I think many of us are getting sore arms from our devices, and all of a sudden you go, they've got this pinch in my shoulder, I don't know why. And you're noticing children are more hunched now, and the adults are more hunched now. It is a big issue. So why is it important though? Because I think a lot of people, even just don't really think about it. We just sort of play on our device and then deal with the sore body later.
Yeah, and often it's not an issue until there's pain. And so as soon as there's pain, then it becomes an issue, because then that then stops you doing the things you want to be doing, and not necessarily just stopping you using that particular device, but then stopping you doing all types of things in your day. So, and I watch it even with my little boy. Like, I've got a 3-year-old, and he sort of, when I give him the iPad, which isn't very often, but when I do, he sits cross-legged on the couch, just sort of slumped in this position. And that's fine for me. I'm okay with that, because I know it's sort of 20 minutes every second, third day. But I know there's children out there spending much longer on these devices, even little ones. And I think we've just got to be mindful of, these little kids are still growing. They're sort of, their joints are still forming, their bones are still forming, their muscles are trying to figure out where they are. And so if we're allowing that behavior from an early age, then I think there's only that expectation that once they hit those teen years, and then maybe they are a little bit more into gaming or just doing more homework, so just having to be on the laptops more and having to be on the iPads more, then the issues are going to be that I think we're going to see more and more of these younger children present to therapy with pain that we need to then do something about. So if we can be preventative and be really mindful of how much time they're spending on these devices, I think that's probably a bit of a key. But if they are on the devices, then really making sure that they're set up. I mean, you wouldn't let your kid do their handwriting homework slunched on the couch. So, if they are using devices, then have them sitting properly or sitting up in their little supported chair and things like that.
Yeah, because it is, like you said, like, it's so common for children to have it in their lap, but even having it so it's a bit more ergonomic.
Yeah, that's right. And even in cars, like, I know some people who take them on longer car trips. Like, I think those things that they have on the back of the car, so that they're sort of sitting watching it like a TV, versus sitting, the drive up to Cairns slouched down in their car with the lap, with the iPad on their lap. Like, anything that you can do to bring your child, or adults, this is, adults as well.
I think it's a huge one with adults.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just trying to get that posture right and change, because the equipment's very light. So it's not like you're having to move big computer equipment like we used to get it in the right position. It's just a matter of propping things up or using little stands and things like that to get them in better position, so that shoulders are back, head's up, and we're not doing that whole slouching thing.
So how can we encourage body awareness? Because I think you're right, from a young age, if we're sort of, hey, sit up straight if you're going to do that, is it just observing and making our children body aware?
Yeah, I would have thought when they're children, it's just observation and just, nagging like we do with every other thing, or essentially just saying, using areas that they are allowed to use their devices and not. So maybe the couch is a no device zone. That's for watching TV. If you're going to use your device, you're up on your desk where you would do your schoolwork, and your laptops or your iPad is up on a stand. So that you're just encouraging them to know, well, that's the space I use my iPad. the couch is where I watch TV, because it's, you know, the TV's so big and they can sort of slouch a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they're not using your hands. Like, I think that's the other thing that we need to be mindful of. When we're watching TV, our body can be relatively relaxed, whereas when the kids are on iPads, they're often flicking through things. They're using their hands. If they're on the laptops, they're typing. So they're using their upper body while slouching, which is even worse. So we really need to be mindful of having their body up so that their upper body is ready, their elbows in the right position, their wrist is in the right position to actually do the tasks that we're expecting them to do using these devices.
Because what are, you know, some of the issues that you're seeing with children that are coming in, and adults as well, into the clinic?
So children, which is nice, we're not seeing it too much yet, but where we see it is when the age where they become heavily into gaming, and that can be sort of from, you know, 11's probably the youngest kid that we've seen come in with sort of an RSI type computer related condition, and that's just because they're doing repetitive motion, sometimes for hours a day and night. Like, it is staggering how many hours some kids and adults spend on computers. And as I said before, the body's just not meant to do that. So we might find that they're getting a particular sore finger, which might be their mousing finger, because all day, every day, they're just using that finger up. And that ends up, because when your finger goes up, it's actually a muscle that attaches to the elbow. So they're ending up with this sort of almost like a tennis elbow, purely from using a mouse. And then shoulders can be a big issue, because shoulders are often slumped forward. So we're definitely getting lots of adults in, probably more so at the moment because of post-COVID. So this video is set in 2020. So post-COVID, where people are set up at home in really poor positions. And so they don't have that ergonomic office space set up for them. So we're seeing lots of sort of shoulder pain and associated wrist and elbow pain as well. It sort of often travels. It starts with one finger and then sort of travels up the arm the longer someone leaves themselves being in those poor positions.
So there you have it. Whilst it's important to be aware of our bodies, you don't need to throw your phone away, unless you really want to, of course. But everything is good in moderation. So if you do suspect you're experiencing some pain or discomfort due to your device use, definitely go and see the team at Helping Hands. They're just a quick phone call away, and they're more than happy to help you.